Yes, the morning edition of the wrap-up show as we head into the Padres offseason. What are the biggest questions facing the Padres heading into the offseason, other than the fact that Jim is awake and
Breaking news.
unable to deal with like the sun that's in his room? We never see you.
There's a lot of sun over here.
Yeah, we typically see you at night. Me too, I guess. So it's sunny where you are, by the way.
Typically see me, see both of us.
By the way, it's not sunny where I am. It's sunny where you are?
What?
No, it hasn't been sunny in like 3 days. Marine layer.
Well, you live in your bougie estate in Del Mar, so.
Correct. Okay, so I want to get into these biggest questions facing the Padres, but before we do that, what did I miss Friday? So I actually was away for 3 days, so I don't know if it was cloudy here, but I was told it was. I was in Palm Springs for a couple of days. You had the Friday show, solo show, in which you spoke with Kevin Acee, and you asked Kevin about AJ Preller's response to anonymous quotes. So take us through that back and forth.
Well, I wanted to ask him about his thoughts on AJ Preller dismissing anonymous quotes and, more importantly, viewing them as something that they don't put any type of substance to or any type of credence, and kind of the feeling from Preller, and I'm sure you feel the same way, it's like, oh, well, we don't view those reports as anything, so we're just going to move on and never talk about it. Like, doesn't it feel like that he was like relaying that to everybody?
Yeah, like just completely like discounting it, like, yeah, whatever.
And so then Acee said that after the press conference, he actually called AJ Preller personally.
Should I play the back and forth? I have it from Fadden.
No, I can talk about
it.
Okay. And said it was garbage. He said he's like, I told him it was garbage, that he discredited those reports because he knows that they're, pretty factual, and that Preller agreed, and he said for a fact that he knows.
No, he didn't say Preller agreed. He said Preller understood, was saying, no, that's not what I was saying.
And he also mentioned that for a fact that the Padres have discussed all of these reports pretty extensively.
But not that Preller agreed, right? I didn't hear that.
Well, no, that he agreed that he should not have done that.
Okay.
Yeah. And Acee's like, yeah, I know for certain that these reports were not just dismissed by this organization.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, it's an interesting back and forth, like a stare down between the media, their reporting, and like the way the Padres are treating this.
Well, it's bullshit because, the entire timeline on social media, and again, it's just Twitter, so it's like not everybody's main opinion, but I mean, the majority of people on social media here, I feel like, are taking Preller's side because they don't like Acee, and it's easy to bash Acee on social media.
Mm-hmm.
And if this was written by somebody else, would we do the same? Would people do the same thing?
Well, Dennis has written something similarly, and you're saying it was less discredited when he wrote it like in 2021, what Dennis wrote, as opposed to what Kevin wrote in 2023.
Yeah, in 2021, it was taken as almost gospel. Now it's like, oh, Kevin wrote it, so why should we even discuss it? And by the way, Dennis wrote kind of a similar piece. So like, look, people are definitely on their high horses about this thing. If you guys want to take Preller's side, like, take Preller's side. But I'm telling you right now, that dude is a liar. He's a known liar, and to what extent is he lying? I don't know, but how Preller came off last week was pretty. If I was, if I'm a fan, like, I would be pretty disheartened by how he treated these reports to the media publicly, to where the fan base is now viewing them as nothing, and that they shouldn't matter, and that there's no problems and everything's fine, and everything that was said was a lie, and there's no dysfunction, and there's no problem with him and Melvin, and everything is fine. Let's just move on. Like, I think that's
Well,
kind
a
of
couple of
bullshit.
things. I don't know if he went that far, but I do know this. If I'm a fan, the hill I'm dying on is not the 100% backing of AJ Preller when the guy's
Yeah.
job within 12 months
Nah.
it doesn't turn around. I think to some extent you've been facetious with it, like where you're like, oh, they think everything is perfect and there's no problems here,
Oh, I'm joking.
here. I don't think they've gone that far at all. And I
Hope
don't know
not.
what Preller's supposed to say about the reports. Like, is he supposed to be like, listen, Grupner has differed from Preller as it relates to what was reported in the Athletic and the UT. And I thought in listening to Preller the other day during his press conference, his Zoom press conference, he actually wasn't, I didn't think it was that poor of a performance by Preller. I really didn't. I thought when he started it, he took some level of accountability. Maybe you wish he went further. I thought he did typical AJ Preller answering of the questions, but I don't think it differed from anything he's ever done before. Like, I don't think it was some about face or he was taking shots at the media. I just thought it was AJ Preller being AJ Preller. So I don't know what we really expected when he spoke on Zoom last week.
Well, to me, and look, if it were up to me, he wouldn't have even been talking to the media. But like I've said all along, to have this feeling, and I don't know if they're doing this behind the scenes, but publicly, how I feel they're treating this season as they were close and it wasn't as bad as everybody thought it was. And they're going to make a couple tweaks and changes, and they're going to chalk this up to, look, we just got to tweak a couple things, and the way we play at the end of the year, that's a good starting point for next season. And we feel like we fixed some things behind the scenes, and we're good to go. When I'm like, dude, did you watch the same season we all watched? Did you watch it? And that's where I have a problem with this past week from the organization, that it didn't feel like there was this urgency for how bad this season was. And that's exactly how this team treated this season, is lack of urgency from the start of the season up until, the very end. It felt like they did not have a sense of urgency that was needed for the expectations that were given by themselves in this year. If you're expected to go to the postseason and be one of the best teams in baseball, and you have that same expectation of yourself, why are we not having that urgency to accomplish those goals that you have set out for yourself? That's
so an example would be, what would you prefer he said on, was it Wednesday? On Wednesday. So it's a disappointing year. It's a lost season. I think he said, would you have preferred he said, we failed but we're going to get it right? Like, what could he have said that would lead you to trust him that 2024 would be different than 2023?
I think it's more of not what could he have said, but what he did say. And what he did say didn't feel like, this is unacceptable. Like, it can't. Now, again, I would have had Preller speak. I wouldn't even have Preller there, but he is, and we have to deal with it. But like, it feels like when he speaks to the media, and more importantly, when he's talking to the fans,
he's just discounting the problems.
It feels like he's discounting problems, and it feels like he doesn't understand the frustration of this season from a fan's perspective.
Yeah, I buy that. I do. Yeah, I think that's fair. I do. I buy that. I don't know what you can really do. It basically, the season is over, other than accepting accountability and responsibility, which he didn't really do, but he did to as far as he's ever gone, maybe. If you watched it back or listened to it, in his opening statement, he took a level of accountability and responsibility. Did he go as far as people would want? No, probably not. As far as you or I would want as media members? No, probably not. But it's almost like, other than turn the page to 2024, again, I said it last week. You've said it before as well. It's like, AJ's not getting rid of himself. Is he going to give himself an F grade at the press conference on his season? I don't think he's going to do that.
He's like, we're going to give grades for everybody right now. Could you imagine?
Yeah, my grade is an F. Listen, he's in the job of spinning it, just like would be my job if I was in that same role. And just like that's Peter Seiler's job. I mean, the job of the organization isn't to make the organization look bad. The job of the organization is to make the organization look good. So we'll see. There's big questions. So let's get to those. Before we do that, we want to remind you about our title sponsor, Mark Nimitz, here on the Wrap-Up Show. He's been with us literally since day one, which is now into our third year of the Wrap-Up Show. We couldn't do this without Mark's support. Can't do this without your support. Whether you're here live or on replay, please subscribe, by the way, year-round content for Padres fans. But if you have any insurance need, Mark is your guy. Auto, home, business, life, renters. He's a San Diegan, lifelong Padres fan. I've got a homeowner's earthquake life insurance policy through Mark Nimitz. He could save you $750 or more just by switching your insurance over to him. You can get to his website by clicking the link in the description down below. You can see it on screen right now. Whatever it is, free quotes by calling Mark. He'll talk to you about the Padres. We'll talk to you about your insurance. You can get free quotes online as well. But thank you, Mark, for your longtime support of the channel. If you are a Padres fan, if you support our work, anytime you have an insurance need, let Mark help you out. Great service, great service and communication. So thank you, Mark Nimitz, for your support of the channel.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate you as always. All his information is above my head. mnimitz@farmersagent.com is his email address to reach out to him if you have any insurance needs. And when you do reach out to him, let him know that Jon and Jim from the Wrap-Up Show sent you.
All right, let's get into some of these burning questions. Again, if you're here, thank you. Please subscribe if you're here. You're on content. Appreciate the super chats. If you're here live or on replay, we appreciate the super thanks. We'll get to all the super chats and the super thanks here. Morning edition of the Wrap-Up Show. Let's get to this one that just rolled in from Alex. Thank you, Alex, for your support of the channel. He says, AJ too busy scouting to even watch the games, to be honest. I don't know. I don't know how he consumes the Padres, to be honest with you. Does he watch a majority of the games or not? Some GMs do not. Some are present. Some are not. Certainly, that's the knock on AJ Preller. He's more of a scout than a general manager. He's more of a scout than a person that is capable of putting together a roster. I think it's a fair knock, the fact that he hasn't been able to put together a roster.
That's the biggest knock. I mean, he hasn't been able to put together a cohesive roster to win a World Series, to win a division at all, ever. Closest he's ever gotten was last year, and last year's, I feel like, roster was also very flawed. They just played good baseball at the right time, but that rotation was not good enough towards the, when they needed it the most. And I thought that their depth pieces weren't good enough. They had a lot of problems with that team last year, but they stuck through it and they fought through it and they won 89 games and they got to an NLCS. But other than that, like, every roster that AJ Preller has built has been nah.
Yeah. None more so than this past year, obviously, with, the 4 stars and then nothing really. It was just a bad roster, clearly. Even the 4 stars didn't live up to expectations. And now you have questions heading into next year, like, can you even win with those 4 stars based on what we saw in money 2023? What about money?
Well, can you win with those 4 stars, but can you also with those 4 stars making up what, like $140 million of your payroll, $150 million of your payroll?
There's no way it's that high. What are the 4? So Machado is
okay. Sorry, 120. My bad. About 120. I'm not good at math.
Yeah, no, it's not 120 either, but it's a lot. It's definitely a lot.
Well, you got 30 for Manny, 30 for Soto, 30 for Tatis. Unless like their contracts.
Yeah, I don't know. Right. I don't know. You might be right. AAV, I don't know. I guess it's probably close to 120. Bogarts is less than 30 per year. Okay. He's at 26.
They might have like manipulated it, but the overall census is you got guys that are making, $280 million plus dollars. And then you got Soto making 30 plus million a year.
Yep. It's a lot of money tied up in a very few number of players. All right. So let's get to some of these questions heading into the year. Let's start with this. Question number 5. We'll go from least important to most important theoretically. Here's the 5th question in terms of questions that the Padres face heading into the offseason. What are the plans to backfill the rotation without Blake Snell and or Lugo and Waka? We know Darvish and Musgrove will be back. We hope and assume they will be healthy. What plans are in place from a Padres perspective to backfill this rotation without Blake Snell? This was one of the better rotations in baseball. I'd say a top 5 rotation for the better part of 2023. Are they capable of being anywhere near that with the payroll issues that we'll get into and with the possibility of losing 2 or more starters for 2024?
Did you see Eno Sarris's tweet last Friday?
I don't think so, but I don't follow him, so probably not.
He had the solution for all the problems with the Padres as far as like filling these holes and replacing players on the team.
Okay.
And I definitely agree with him. So how the Padres do that is with magic.
That's the answer. Just magic.
Magically
create the roster.
Magic is the answer. He was talking about, if Soto comes back and the payroll that they have, and if they're expected to be at 200 million, that how to, replace players that you're losing with potentially the same productivity is with magic.
If it comes down to magic, they got problems.
Yeah.
So that's the solution.
Well, again, this is going to have to be an off season where AJ, is going to have to be very creative. Like this is not going to be a easy off season where they identify maybe one player to go out and get, or a couple players, and that's going to be like the missing pieces. They have so much work to do this off season, and they're going to have to be so creative that trades and, just kind of believing in maybe some minor league talent that might not maybe be ready, but they don't have any other choice. So we're not too far off the magic route for replacing, the rotation pieces that will be gone. I would say right now, the way that they're going to have to do it is with a lot of creativity. What do you think?
Yeah, I would say that, okay, you start with Musgrove and Darvish and hope that they're healthy. You assume that out of Waka and Lugo, one of them is probably back. I don't know if that's a good assumption right now or not, but it's at least possible. And then from there, to like Shrek's point, out of like Avila and Waldron, someone is probably starting 15 plus games. Yeah. And then you hope to graduate someone from your system like a Snelling, right, like a Lesko that could contribute in 2024. Plus, or maybe you go out and get a low-end free agent starter in that like $12 million range, possibly. This was a good rotation. So it's not like you're going from a bad rotation and losing pieces like, oh my gosh, they're getting worse. I think it could still be top third caliber rotation. Playing at Petco Park with Joe Musgrove and Yu Darvish, I still think they could be a top 10, 12 rotation.
With Ruben Niebla.
Without Blake Snell. Yeah, with Ruben Niebla. It's not like Avila had a great year.
Really good.
He really did. You might count on someone like Morejon to make 10 starts for you. Again, it's hard to count on someone like Adrian Morejon. But I don't think it's as dire as honestly, I really don't. I think without Blake Snell, yeah, that's a loss, certainly for 2024. And we'll see about Lugo and Waka. But they found Lugo and Waka off the free agent market for relatively affordable prices. You have Nick Martinez, by the way, as well. So I think with Nick Martinez, I don't think it's as dire as I don't see it as particularly dire, to be honest with you, heading into the year. I don't think it's going to be this massive issue. I don't think they'll have a 25th best rotation in baseball. I think they'll probably have a top 10 rotation in baseball, would be my guess.
I'm concerned about it.
Well, yeah, no, I know you are. That's why it's one of the questions. I'm concerned about it. But we're concerned about everything, right?
Yeah, but that's on top of my list is pitching.
Pitching's on top. Starting pitching,
yeah.
Alex, thank you again. He says, just have everyone become two-way players, LOL. Just kidding. Well, they do have Cronenworth to potentially pitch. I don't know if he's going to start, though.
Yeah, I don't know either. The wrist is was it a left wrist or right? It was a right wrist injury. So, it might be out for a little while.
All right, next burning question. Will the Padres be able to extend Juan Soto? Whether that's this offseason or in season in 2024, it's a big question hanging over the organization. You made as big of a trade as the franchise has ever made, dealing off 5 prospects, 3 or 4 of which were considered some of the top in the organization. Do you see a path for the Padres to potentially extend Juan Soto, or will he reach free agency?
I think he's reaching free agency. I think the way that Juan Soto stays is if they win in a big way. But when this shit happens this year, that to me just furthers the he's gone after next season or potentially this season because they want to make sure that their payroll flexibility is something that is manageable next year to try to win. Even though we both agree that having Juan Soto on your team is the best way to win.
Yep.
But I just don't see it. I just don't. The recklessness of this team this past year has not helped them as far as giving out contracts go, and to just do that same thing the following season when they are in, we're hearing words like debt reduction and, they're giving plans to Major League Baseball because they have to get their debt in order, and Peter's selling off parts of his equity group. Like, when you hear shit like that and you go back around and you give a guy a $500 million contract, that's probably not going to make a lot of people happy. So I give it right now a 5% chance of happening this offseason. Less than that.
Yeah, I agree. I think happening in the offseason is less than 5% chance. I think happening at some point between now and him hitting free agency is probably in the neighborhood of 5%. And I think there's an overwhelming high likelihood that he will reach free agency, which would make sense for Juan Soto and potentially make sense for the Padres, to your point, because they don't have the money to extend him. Even if they did have the money, you could argue whether or not Boris would want him not to reach free agency. But I don't even know if the Padres have that kind of money. And if they did, is it wise to spend $400 million plus on Juan Soto on a long-term deal with all these long-term deals they already have? We're going to get back to these questions in a moment. Want to remind you about our partner here on the wrap-up show, Ora, ORA.organic. Check them out. Plant-based nutritional products, a great company. Their co-founder, Will, is a huge Padres fan, a native San Diegan, a huge supporter of this channel. They've got offices in Liberty Station. So whatever you need, plant-based nutritional products, whether it's their probiotic, which I take every single day, took 2 of them this morning. That's great for digestion and more. They have pre-workout supplements. They have proteins for after workouts, omega-3 oils. If you're taking fish oils, you can take their omega-3 oils and get the same health benefits. They have sleep pills and immunity pills as well. So whatever it is, and much more, by the way, whatever it is, check them out, ORA.organic. Local company. If you support our channel, please support Ora. Check them out by clicking the link in the description down below or by going to ORA.organic.
Yeah, go pick up some of their supplements right now. They have everything you need to live a healthy lifestyle. If you're thinking of taking some supplements but you don't know where to start, go to Ora, www.ora.organic. Cleanest on the market, all plant-based organic supplements. They have the best pre-workout powder, raspberry lemonade flavor. They also have great protein powder for after workouts. So go check it out right now, www.ora.organic.
All right, we're going to get back to the burning questions, the biggest questions in a moment with number 3 real quick. Alex, thank you for your super chat. Guys, if you're here, thank you for subscribing. Thank you for the supers and the super thanks. Great way to support the channel. He says, can the AJ really put Peter credit card away? Oh, can AJ put his credit card away? I don't know if that credit card's going to have anything left on it, unfortunately. That's the issue.
Yeah, they got to pay off what they paid for this past offseason.
Right.
They haven't even, the thought of not making the postseason this year, I don't think was in anybody's mind in that organization.
Agreed.
And the loss of postseason revenue, and they were expecting to go deep in the postseason, like not just like, hey, we're going to go to the wild card round and play on the road for 2 games and get bounced in 2 games. Like they're like, no, we're going to have multiple home playoff games. We're going to be going deep in the postseason, and we expect to do that this year to get a fat dump truck of money. Didn't happen.
Yeah, it's an issue. I mean, clearly, and we'll get into it actually with these questions coming up, but clearly, if anything, or if nothing else, the payroll is going to be a concern. We'll see if it's a huge concern or if it's just a concern. But the next biggest question is Manny's health. Will Manny be 100%, or when will he be 100% when 2024 begins? Just had the elbow operated on last week. Padres tweeted out the timetable is a 4 to 6 month recovery, which puts him absolutely in line to start the season, quote unquote, healthy. But we've seen some of these injuries, Jim, keep guys out of the field. We've seen some of these injuries zap power as well, or take a period of time to get back to 100%. Manny Machado is coming off a down year. He cannot afford, the Padres cannot afford to have him have another down year.
Yeah, I think after hearing it's a 4 to 4 to 6 months.
Yep.
I don't. My concern level went down.
Mhm.
Before it was like, shit, he's gonna miss a month of the season potentially. I was like, dude, that can't happen. Like, what are
Right.
we doing? But if he's back and he's your DH to start the year, that's all that matters, because you have plenty of players that can fill the hole of third base. But Manny's gonna have to have a big season next year. Like, he's just gonna have to be way better. And I know that his numbers on paper this year, 30 plus home runs, right? Looked fine,
Mhm.
but he had a bad season.
Agreed.
And I know that people might say, well, Manny actually finished off strong. Dude, Manny, those games meant nothing. Okay. A couple home runs he hit in one game, like, it was a nice little, like, what's happening? They're only 4 games back to play. Like, it was just, they meant nothing. Same with a lot of Xander stats, and same with a lot of Soto stats at the end of the year. Even though Soto had a better season, he's gonna have to have a better season. Like, plain and simple.
Mhm.
He's gotta be way better for this team. Way better.
I agree. I mean, Manny's health is just so critically important. I mean, he plays basically every single game. I'm with you. If he DHs, so be it. If that's the case to start the year, but you're going to need him playing third, and you're going to need him to be not just good from the back of a baseball card perspective. You're going to need him to be clutch.
Mm.
Like, you're going to need it to look like Bryce
Yeah.
Harper occasionally.
Yeah.
Have those hits that define a series or a homestand or a month.
Yeah. He didn't have those this year.
None of them, and none of these guys really did. If we're
No.
being honest, very few of these guys really did. All right, next burning question. What's the payroll going to be for the Padres in 2024? In 2023, it was in the neighborhood of 255 million. We have heard reports from Kevin, Dennis, and others that not only is the payroll coming down, but it's coming down significantly, potentially to $200 million or less. That's what you and I have been talking about now for weeks and weeks and weeks. So, A, what's the payroll going to be? We're going to find out. AJ was non-committal, obviously, this past week. And is it going to be 200? Is it going to be less? Is it going to be more? But we know this. It's not going to be 255 million again in 2024.
I just want to real quick say to people giving shit to Kevin.
Did you see the poll I put up?
I did not.
Okay.
About, well, last year they said the payroll was going to be this, and then it wasn't. And then the Padres spent a bunch of money last offseason. You know why that happened? Because things change. Okay. When someone says, yeah, sources say the expected payroll is to be around that is not like a factual statement. That is okay, I expect this to happen. Or, hey, we expect to do this. I expect to go to the beach today, but then it starts raining. So then I can't go to the beach. People, they look at things and they take it as 100%. Well, he said it was going to happen and it didn't happen. So that guy's a fucking idiot. Dude, when someone reports on something and they say things like the expected this, or people have told me this about that, it's not a factual that it's 100% going to be $200 million.
Sure.
He's probably heard from somebody that is probably in the know that they expect the payroll to go down. But the caveat, the only way it wouldn't go down is if guess who decides that he wants to spend money, and that's Peter Seidler.
But is that even going to fly with Major League Baseball with these debt issues, like the compliance issues that the Padres may or may not be in? I agree with what you. So, okay, let me ask you this then. Would you be surprised if the payroll was $225 million? It's because we're treating a lot of this. A lot of our conversation on Jon and Jim or on the wrap-up show is like, hey, they're going to need to do this because the payroll is going to be $200 million. But is it going to be $200 million? Like, would you be surprised if it was $225 million next year, based on the reporting that's saying it needs to get to $200 million?
225 would be a little high. I would be like, they went out and maybe spent money on like a Sonny Gray or something like that. Like, I would have been like, okay, that's interesting. It would be a little surprising to me just because of everything we've heard about their issues with money.
So you expect, and I agree with you. By the way, what you're saying, it's not just because of Kevin's reporting, it's because of others reporting, and it's because of things that Eric Grupner, by the way, have said about the compliance issues and about the financial issues the Padres are in. I think the payroll's coming down. I just don't know how much is coming down.
Right. I
You
do.
know,
I believe it's coming down too.
I'd be shocked if it doesn't come down. Just to be clear, like that would be utterly shocking to me if the payroll went up.
Oh God, if the payroll went up, I'd be like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, that would be shocking. So we can listen. You could say, "Hey, Kevin's been off here, or Dennis has been off here," or to your point, Jim. Kevin never said, "I'll guarantee you the Padres
people don't
payroll is
understand
gonna
that.
be 210." He
People
never said that.
They just don't like Kevin, and so because they don't like
Correct.
Kevin, and a lot of people in the chat right now, you just don't like Kevin, and you just don't want to like believe things. And am I saying that Kevin's always right? No, he's not. But like when he hears stuff, he puts it out there, or when he reports on things, he puts it out there. And is it all going to turn out to be true? Like, hey, the Padres are in on this player and they don't sign him. Oh my God, it's Kevin's fault because he said it. Like, give me a break, dude.
Right.
That's a reporter's job.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Reporters are going to be right a lot, and reporters are going to be wrong a lot. That's just
Yeah,
how
no,
the
he
fucking
doesn't have
job
100%.
works.
Yeah, he doesn't have 100% track record. But to Jim's point, it's like when he reported whatever he did last year on the payroll, he didn't report it to be a guarantee. He was reporting based on what he had heard. And things change. To Jim's point, things
change all the
absolutely
time.
can change. Okay, we're going to get to the number one biggest question in a moment. Do want to remind you about our partner here on the wrap-up show, Underdog Fantasy. Check them out at underdogfantasy.com. Limited time only. If you use promo code PADSWRAP, PADSWRAP, you're getting a 100% deposit match up to $500. Use promo code PADSWRAP, PADSWRAP, get a 100% deposit match up to $500. You only have to deposit $10 to get the deposit match. Pick'em's going on right now with MLB playoffs and NFL Monday Night Football. For example, if you like lower than a touchdown and a half for Jordan Love tonight, passing, which probably a lot of people do, you can then couple that with Zach Wheeler working 5 1/3 innings tonight in Atlanta. If you go 2 for 2 on that, 20 pays 60. As simple as that. UnderdogFantasy.com. Use promo code PADSWRAP. Get a 100% deposit match up to $500. Biggest question heading into 2024, Jim, before we go, is
the relationship between Bob Melvin and AJ Preller.
Correct. Can they coexist?
Right. As Dennis said on Friday, it's what is the word he used? He used a great line. I don't know if you heard this, John, but because Dennis was one of the people that said that he does not know how this is going to work next year. He's like, I don't know how they're going to be able to work together. Mm-hmm. It's just like, I don't know.
No doubt.
This is the line that he said about Melvin and Preller next year. It's an uneasy truce going forward for right now.
I like that. That makes sense because it's like the offseason. It is a truce until it starts up again.
Like, hey, look, maybe tempers were flaring.
Yep.
You know, I still don't really like you. We still can't really work together, but it's like two parents staying together. Like they want to get a divorce, but they stay together because they don't want to ruin the kids' lives. And it's like you're staying together because you want to, you know, this is the best opportunity and best chance to win. You're not going to, for Bob at least, you know, you're not going to really win right away in San Francisco. You're not going to win right away in New York. You have the best talent here. The roster might be shit construction-wise, but you have the best talent.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just make a truce. All right. I might not be managing after next year anyway. And I don't want to go somewhere to start over again. So why don't we just work through it this year? I think you're a fucking idiot, but I just work through it. And if we win, then we won't have any problems. So let's just focus on trying to do that.
Well, yeah, life is all about, and I know you need to run in a second. It's all about like options. What better option do these two have? Preller has no other option. He's not going anywhere to become a GM. Melvin may have options, but to your point, are they better? And if you don't have better options, like why are you breaking up with your girlfriend?
Right.
You know, I mean, but you know my point. I mean, the people think about these questions. People, this is, you know, it's a common question. Like, am I better off? Is the grass greener or not?
Yeah. Do you want to go to another job because, you know,
pays more?
You might have friends over there, but the job you're at, you're getting paid more. You might hate it, but you're getting paid more way than you would get at another job.
100%. JD Gaucho, thank you for the super. He says Pod's payroll has to be under the Dodgers in 2024. Can't let LA claim poverty and that they are the mom and pop franchise of the NL West again. There's another guarantee I'm going to make. Okay. And I'm not Kevin. I'm not a reporter. I'm not Dennis. The Dodgers payroll will be higher than the Padres in 2024. There's 10 reasons why. One, the Padres is coming down. Two, the Dodgers is going up because they're going to spend this offseason. Now, maybe it's dependent on what happens here in the postseason, but I think either way, they're spending.
Well, there's one big reason why, and his name is Shohei Ohtani.
No doubt.
And also, they need a lot of pitching, and they're not going to sign Urias because he might never play baseball again.
And Kershaw is done.
Kershaw's cooked,
yeah,
like he always has been cooked in the postseason.
Yeah, I mean, how bad was that? Also, how good was that?
How bad? It was great.
How bad was that for him?
Watching it at a bar, and you're just like, this is the greatest thing ever. Went to the bathroom, and he was already out of the game.
5 batters, 5 hits, 5 runs. First time in baseball history.
6 runs, John.
Was it 6?
It was 6.
Are you sure?
He might have given up
5.
Oh,
yeah, because he was the first ever to allow 5 runs without an out being recorded on 5 hits. I think you're right. I think you're 100%
sure it's
right.
6, yeah.
I think you're right.
You got an ass kicked.
Unbelievable. All right, we're going to be with you throughout the course of the offseason. Join us today at 3 p.m. on Jon and Jim, talking much more about the Padres 2023 offseason heading into 2024. Please subscribe if you're here. Thank you for the super chats and the super thanks if you're on replay. Thank you to our partners, Mark Nimitz at Farmers Insurance, Aura, ORA.organic, and UnderdogFantasy.com. Use promo code PODSWRAP. You'll get a 100% deposit match up to $100. For Jim, I'm John. Thanks, guys. We'll see you at 3 p.m. on Jon and Jim.